product management, because growth and the product, these are the levers in a tech company, right? Which work in tandem. So yeah, so I will just proceed with this. So today I will be talking about, what are the key things that a organization is actually looking for, and actually an organization strives for when it is actually, probably, let's say a startup or even a tech firm, right? In a established tech firm like Google, Microsoft. Yeah. So what exactly are they looking for, aiming for, ultimately to achieve their business objectives and goals? So. So basically, I worked as a growth manager in Paytm, right? And I worked as a growth manager in PayU. I will be covering my learnings from there. And right now, I'm working as a product manager, which inherently covers growth piece. So growth basically, if I talk about in any organization, right? Growth basically is divided into two parts. The first part is basically driven by the product, and the second part is basically driven by the marketing, right? So I will be covering the growth part being driven by the product later. First I will cover the growth covered by the marketing part. So yeah, will start. So yeah, I was just talking about what are the key metrics that the organization is actually looking for. So the first key metric that people or organization look for is the users. So number of users who are actually transacting on a particular app or a product, let's say in a certain period. So generally we look for monthly transacting users. So what is the definition of monthly transacting users? The number of users who are basically active on let's say any app in a certain month. For example, if I talk about the month of December, which has gone, and let's say if I take a product, let's say you can take an example of Paytm, right? So how many users were actually active on Paytm in the month of December? So that is the monthly transacting user metric. Right now, obviously the objective is to grow this metric, month on month. Let's say probably today we are doing like 10,000 users which are active on the platform, and based on the objective, we would like to be, let's say, by the end of this year we want to reach to, let's say, 1 lakh users are transacting on my platform, which is like 10x growth, right? So I hope you guys don't mind. I think we can take the Q&A. Just if there is any question, if any person would be having, please shoot it to me. And probably the major questions I would be taking at the end of the lecture, if it is fine for you.
Yeah, Hamid sir, we shall have the Q&A session at last. Okay, you can just go on.
Yeah. So now I will be dissecting the monthly transacting users into different segments. So the first key segment of the monthly transacting users is the new users, right? So these new users are the users who would be transacting on my platform for the first time. They have never come to my platform, or probably they were the users who had downloaded my a product or app but had never transacted, right? So how do I prompt them to actually transact for the first time and ultimately contribute into my monthly transacting user? The second segment, which is the biggest chunk of my monthly transacting user, is a repeat user. Now, what is the definition of repeat user? These users basically, if I'm taking January month as a reference, right? So let's say I'm calculating the monthly transacting user for the month of January. So what repeat user means? So the new users would be these users actually came to my platform for the first time in the month of January, right? Makes sense. And the repeat users are users basically users who were transacting, who transacted in the month of December. Let's say in the so who transacted last month, and they have come back in the month of January. So this is right repeat user. The third one is 1 month churn. So these are the users who were inactive last month. So for example, these users came to transact in the month of January, but were not active in the month of December. They were active in the month of November, for that matter. So these are like, we call them 1 month churn. Similarly, if I talk about 2 month churn, would be users who were not transacting on my platform in the month of November and December. They came back in January. They were transacting in the month of October, right? So it is called 2 month churn. So because these guys were inactive for 2 months. Similarly, the last segment which I talk about covers, every other user who was a part of my platform earlier. So these are the users who were inactive in last 3 months and more. So like they were not active in the month of October, November, December, and even before, but they came back in the month of January, right? So yeah, I will proceed. I will now talk about the strategies to actually improve all these 5 segments. What all initiatives or what all marketing initiatives or strategies that we can use to increase them, right? So first I'll talk about new user. So new user basically the activity we call is the acquisition. So the term that is basically mostly used in the tech companies is the acquisition. I want to acquire more and more new users. That is like the top management would be sometimes asking, like, I am not looking for monthly transaction, I'm looking for new users. Because uh, so when I talk about new users, right? So let's say I am a firm in the market, and there are not many competitors in the market, right? So let's say I'm the unique firm, and I have a unique product proposition, right? No one is actually selling this product in the market. For example, let's say if I talk about, I'll again take the example of Paytm. Let's Paytm is the only payments app in India, let's say in the India market. So I think so. What do you suggest? Will the new user acquisition going to be easy, or is it going to be hard, or is it going to be okay? So that's one question from my side. If someone wants to answer, I'm not sure if my question was clear. So my question is like, if I'm talking about Paytm, right? Paytm is a payments app. So the product that it offers is, basically the digital payments, right? You can actually use the app and ultimately pay at your merchants or do an online payment without using cash. It's a cashless uh, payment. So now my question is, if there is no other player in the market, what Paytm is offering, is a new user acquisition going to be easy, or is it going to be hard?
Yeah, it is going to be easy, sir. If there is no other competitor, it is going to be easy.
Yeah, exactly. Makes sense. Now, so you got it. So now, but if I talk about the payments landscape in India, it is like very competitive, right? There are so many players, right out in the market. There are Indian firms. There are like Google Pay and other firms. New firms actually propping up nowadays. So the new user acquisition has become very tough. And for big players, it is very easy because their product, right? The product offering and the user journey, when a user comes to do a payment, ultimately gets a successful transaction, that is very flawless, right? The journey is really smooth. But for new companies, who are just entering the market, they are still you know fighting for their brand, right? Their brand value is low, right? If I talk about Paytm, Google Pay, everyone talks about that. But if I talk about, let's say, some ABC payment, right, which is very new, it has to fight really hard to ultimately get the brand value, and ultimately the new user acquisition is also going to be very tough for that particular firm. So I will talk about the drivers to ultimately increase the new user acquisition. So the first thing is increase installs. Now for let's say for someone who is the owner of a company, and they have an app product, right? So what exactly can be done to increase the install is, if let's say if you tie up with the mobile manufacturers, right, and have your app and product installed in there, right? And for example, if I talk about the mobile manufacturers, which is Xiaomi, right, Samsung, right? So there's this particular thing is present there. So if you basically buy a mobile, right, from the market, you will see a lot of apps which are pre-installed in that set, right? And that's what is gets driven by tying up with the mobile manufacturers and asking them to ultimately have your app pre-installed in the mobile, right? So yeah, so that's one thing. And so for users who basically have your app probably installed, or probably they have uninstalled your app, so Google, Facebook ads, right, play a key role in ultimately doing the converting the installs. So you can see a lot of Facebook ads running, right? Google ads running, where they will be prompting you to ultimately install the app and ultimately drive the transaction. Also, you would have seen someone who often often you might have seen, right, whenever you are going to download some app, right, you will see an advertisement of another app that's pops up from the bottom, and that is also one of the other advertisement or one of the driver that can actually increase installs. Now the question is, after the user has installed the app, the next driver is the sign up. How do we actually prompt the user to sign up, into the app? So one thing that is present with the mobile manufacturers, if I talk about, this is basically non-logged in pushes. So even when the user has not logged in into your app, there is a capability where you can actually send push notification to the users and ultimately, prompt the user or incentivize the user to sign up and ultimately do a transaction. So that is one of the drivers to increase the signups. Also, I talked about Google, Facebook ads, and Play Store advertisement that can also drive your signups. Right. Now, the next thing that comes is, how do you convert your signups to the first transacting user? Now, because I have signed up, I have done the registration. Now, the first thing that I would want from my user is to do a transaction, or let's say buy my product. So right now, I've used a transaction here because I was writing my slides on on the lines of a payment app. So it can be anything, right? For Amazon, it can be a user doing a transaction, right? Buying a product from Amazon. So right, for a e-commerce firm, for that matter. And if I talk about a gaming app, right? For a gaming app, you can say, like, let's say once a user has logged in, right? A user should start playing the games, right? How much time the user is spending on a daily basis on the app, right? So that is something. So every industry will have a different metric, tag to them, and that particular metric is something that the management would be interested in, right? For example, for payment apps, the first thing. So every firm would be interested in users, but apart from users, another metric which comes out can be different for different industries. For payments, it's going to be obviously number of transactions. For e-commerce companies, it's going to be number of orders the user is actually placing on their app or website. And for gaming app, it could be a number of hours a user is actually spending on playing games online, all of that, right? So the fourth one, which I would talk about, is converting the first transacting users to repeat transacting users. Now that you were successful in converting your user from installing to sign up to first transacting user. How do you make sure that this particular user will be transacting again and again on your platform, right? And that is the ultimate goal, right? Of an organization. So this user should never go away and should keep on coming to us. And obviously, the product offering or the value proposition that the organization is providing, that should be robust. Only then would ultimately the user would be using it. So for example, if I talk about digital payments has now become a need, even after, and has become a need even more after demonetization and after COVID-19, where users are a bit sensitive about using cash and ultimately doing a contact payment. So contactless payment, right? This is a need of an hour, right? So yeah, so this becomes one of the inherent drivers uh, for increasing the new user acquisition even more for the firms, right? So I was talking about converting first transacting users to repeat transacting users. So basis the use case. So for example, I do purchases, let's say not on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, right? Online purchases, offline purchases. I pay via the payments app, right? So that is a use case, right? Now someone who has done it for the first time, how do you make sure that the user would be doing it again and again? Basically gets driven by the value proposition that you are providing, and also uh, Also, also of course, if the user is really looking forward to your product. So yeah. So the next I will talk about, running a marketing campaign, right? So what are the important aspects of, marketing campaign? So when you are actually deciding a campaign, right? Let's say it's a new user campaign or a campaign where you want to, cross sell another product to your existing user, or let's say you want to, bring back a user who has stopped transacting on your platform or has stopped using your product. So all these are different use cases, and you would be running different kind of marketing campaigns for all these user segments, right? So the first and foremost, right, the important part of a campaign, right, which actually decides the success of a campaign is the promotions, right? Now if I talk about the new user campaigns, right, uh, for promoting the new user campaign, the best platforms today, basically, print media used to be a traditional method. Even now, a lot of tech firms use print media to advertise, campaigns. So you might have seen on the newspapers front page, uh, even Amazon, Paytm, and many other firms, Google Pay, are putting their advertisement, right? This basically can drive installs, right? Can again drive signups and then signups to first transaction, right? So also, there's a social media today, right? A lot of users are actually active on social media, Twitter, Facebook, and Google, right? Uh, and having your campaign promoted on these platforms again can drive a lot of installs and ultimately signups and transactions, right? Now I'll talk about the incentive, right? So incentive can be of any form. Incentive can be, probably you're providing some discount to the user. Let's say a user wants to do a, let's say, mobile prepaid of, let's say, rupees 100, or wants to do a DTH recharge of rupees 100, and you provide that user an instant discount of, let's say, 10%, 20%, right? Or provide a cashback, right? Let's say on a transaction of 100 rupees, you provide a cashback of 20 rupees. So that can be a form of incentive. That is that is one of the attribute of a campaign, right? And another incentive could be, let's say you say that you do a mobile prepaid recharge of rupees 100, and you get a 50 rupees voucher for the next transaction that you do on the platform. So this particular incentive, right, which I talked about just now, this will actually drive one more transaction in the future. A user, first of all, has to do one transaction, of course, and once the user gets a voucher to do a transaction, gets a voucher where the benefit will be rolled out in the next transaction. So that basically will drive two transactions for me. So based on what is your objective, right? You can basically play around with your incentive in that manner. Also, you might have seen another thing, which is referral, right? And which a lot of firms do it today, like Uber, and you might have seen referral from Uber and even from other firms also. Like if you are an existing user, right, and you basically refer some of your friends or family members by passing on your referral code to them, so you also get an incentive, and the user who is going to be a new user for the firm, right, for the organization, that is that person or user is also going to get an incentive. So that is also one of the I would say one of the best campaign to run to ultimately drive the new user acquisition, right? Hope I'm clear so far, right? It is making sense. uh,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Making sense.
So next thing is, ultimately, once you all do all of this, now the next thing that comes is, how do you analyze that whatever you are doing is is correct or not? So I'll talk about the funnels, right? A funnel is something, right, so I would say there are multiple stages in funnel, and the first stage of the funnel would be the installations, right? Number of installations that have happened, let's say, in a particular month. For example, let's say 100 installations happened in a particular month. Out of those 100 installation, let's say 75 people did a sign up, right? And let's say from 75 people who signed up, only 50 did a first transaction, right? And from 50 people who did first transaction, let's say 20 people, returned to your app, let's say in the next month. So if I talk about the funnel will talk about from installation to, to, let's say, repeat transacting user. It will look like 100 people signed up, or of 100 people who signed up, 75 people, of 100 people who installed the app, 75 people signed up. Out of 75 people who signed up, 50 people transacted on your platform in that particular month, right? So that is the first transacting user is actually 50. Now, out those 50 people, around 20 people, came back in the month of February, let's say. So the repeat transacting user is 20. So this particular campaign, right, whatever you did, when you, let's say, 20 users in the month of February and 50 users in the month of January. Now, how can you improve this particular, whatever activity that you're doing for user acquisition is you have to obviously increase the ratio of signups to install. You would obviously ideally want that all the people who install, right, of all of them, all the people do sign up, which is the ideal scenario. Of all the people who do sign up, ultimately all of them do a first transaction. Again, that's the ideal condition. So funnel is there, right? And how can you improve the funnel? You can basically look at the industry benchmarks, right? So what is the ratio of sign up to installs in the industry? Are you actually in tandem with the industry? Are you doing better than industry, or not better than industry? So that is something that you need to look into. Also, once you have identified that, okay, I am doing better than the industry, or I am doing in line with the industry, you also need to identify why it is happening, because why is the important part, right? You have identified what is happening, but if you don't identify why it is happening, I think then probably it would be tough for you to, let's say, ultimately, go ahead and ultimately, you know uh, execute successful campaigns, in the future. So identifying the why part, that is also important. So for example, if you're doing better than the industry, is it that, from installation to sign up, your login flow, right, your sign up flow, is it really smooth? Is it really, better than the industry? That is something that you need to look up from the product angle, right? So like the product managers, right? Product managers, key KRA, I would say, so the metric that they are actually judged on, right? So it's basically, to drive better ratios of signups to install, better ratio of first transacting user to signups, because these particular ratios are driven by how better your product is, how better a user journey is. For example, you come to do a mobile recharge on an app, right? You will first of all land on a category page, right, where you will select the plan, where you will select your operator circle, right? And how easy it is for the user, how intuitive it is for the user. Is the user actually getting stuck at some of the placements on the app? So that is something that needs to be solved by the product manager, right? And that is again, so that's what a job of product manager is, right? So I will proceed. Now I will talk about I've talked about new users. I will talk about the repeat users. So repeat user, generally the term that we use to basically drive this activity is retention. I want whatever, let's say, if 100 users are actually transacting on my platform as on today, as on in the month of January, I would ideally want all of them to come back in the month of February. So that is retention, right? But ideally this doesn't happen. What generally would happen is, let's say, of 100 users who transact in the month of January, only 70 would actually return in the month of February. In that case, my retention percentage is going to be 70%, right? So ideally, I would want my retention percentage to move more and more above, like, and reach close to 100%, right? So so retention is actually driven by stickiness. Now, what stickiness is? How so it's about habit, right? So how better is your product in creating, habit, a customer habit, that the customer keeps on returning to your app, and user app more and more often, right? That is stickiness. So you got to design your product, you got to design your app in such a way, and your value proposition should be in such a way that the user should keep returning to your app, and it should become a habit for the user, right? And if I talk about digital payments, right, digital payments is actually a need nowadays, and the user will keep on returning. So the value proposition that probably the payment apps are offering, that is actually very value addition to the customers, right? So obviously, if I'm talking about habit, right, it should be a positive habit, right? It shouldn't be something, you know, that's not adding value to the users. Something that should add value to the users is what kind of a product that we should be creating, right? Again, you make sure that the product offering is flawless. It is easy, right? It is convenient. The user journey is very seamless till the user completes the transaction, right? And of course, obviously, all the transactions that the users are doing are not going to be successful. There will be a lot of times, the transaction would fail because of your internal reason or the external reason. But once that happens, providing the right customer support is the key there, right? And because the users would be reaching out to you and asking for their money back because the benefit or the service has not been provided. Now, how do you handle that carefully, right? That is being played by the customer support. And you should have a good customer support if you are looking for a better retention rates, right? Otherwise, the user is not going to come back to you anyhow what you do, and the user is going to probably shout out loud in on the social media, on Twitter, that this particular app or a product is not right, and this can actually drive low retention rates for you and can be detrimental to the company or firm. Then I'm not sure how many people. So cohort analysis, right? Cohort analysis is one of the I would say technique to understand, where exactly your users are dropping. What is the retention rate of your app, right? When I say retention rate, like let me jump to the cohort analysis right away because I'm explaining it right now. So yeah, this is cohort analysis. So this is basically how can you read this cohort analysis is, so this is a quarterly cohort analysis. It can be monthly, it can be weekly. So right, so for example, if I talk about the first row, it says in the month of in the first quarter of 2017, around 37 customers were transacting, right? Around 37 customers were transacting. Now it says in quarter two, as in 2017 quarter two, 95% of the users actually came back. So 95% of 37, which would be, I think, 35, right? So it says 35 people came back in quarter two. Similarly, 35 people came back in quarter three. I'm reading the first row, right? 100%, 95%, 95%, right? So obviously, quarter one is going to be 100% because these were the transacting users in quarter one. 35 were the users transacting quarter two. 35 again in quarter three because at the same percent. Now it is 84, right? So 84, it would be something around, I would say, around 31, right? So this is what a cohort analysis says. It says like, the quarter four retention of your app is 84%, which is actually a good percentage, right? If I talk about that. Now, if it was, let's say, 14% or 20%, then there's something wrong with your app, or there's something different value proposition that you're providing, right? Also, it tells you, like, if I talk about this cohort, right, a cohort analysis, if you look at the cohort analysis, you will see in 2017 quarter four, there was something happened that, almost all the people who were transacting quarter one, all of them actually came in quarter two. So I know cohort analysis is giving you what is happening, but as I said, yeah, why is it happening? It's something that needs to be uh, delve deeper into, because that will actually help you understand, okay, what are the changes that you made in quarter four, or what were the marketing campaigns that you were running in quarter four that led to these better retention rates in quarter two. So and probably in the future you can actually uh, work on uh, probably following the same practices that you did in quarter four. Similarly, if I talk about quarter three, right, the quarter two retention was 91%, which is worst of all the quarters. So you need to understand what went wrong in there. Was your system down, or were you running any campaign which was not right? So that is something that needs to be looked upon. looked into. Now, if I talk about repeat users, right? Repeat users. So these were the 5 segments I talked about, right? In the beginning, the monthly transacting user. So new users, repeat user, 1 month churn, 2 month churn, and 3 month plus churn. So repeat user actually constitutes the biggest chunk of your monthly transacting user. It might comprise, let's say, 60 to 70% of your monthly transacting user. So yeah, that's what it's a big chunk of your MTUs. And so if I talk about, so we have a marketing budget, right? The growth managers who are working in the firm, they have the marketing budget, and they have to use that particular spend so wisely on all these segments, so that they can basically drive the growth rate, optimize the growth rate, and not spend money unnecessarily on users where they were not supposed to spend on to. So for example, if I talk about repeat user, I know repeat user is someone who keeps coming to my platform again and again. Do I really need to incentivize that user, by giving cashback or discount? I think that's a waste, right? I know this user is going to come back next month. If I run a campaign and provide the incentive or discount to that particular user, I think that is a waste of my marketing budget, because that user was already going to come to me. So I have to ultimately do my analysis and do that analysis at my end. What are those users who are going to come on their own? What are those users who are not going to come on their own, and hence drive campaigns, incentivize them, and so that they come back to me uh, in the next month. Yeah. So also, so I already talked about it. You identify users who need incentive and who do not need incentive. That is the key to optimize your marketing budget. Also, if I talk about any firm for that matter, let's say if I talk about a payments app, right, a financial services app. Apart from recharge and bill payment product that they offer, they also offer mutual funds. They also offer, let's say, UPI money transfer and all of that. So once you have acquired a user with, let's say a recharge, right, mobile recharge or mobile prepaid recharge, you also need to make sure that you basically upsell or cross sell other products that your app or product offers. So for example, you can sell mutual funds to that user. You can sell online gold to that user, right? And and any other product that you see. This will actually ultimately drive more stickiness. A user will keep coming to you, to your product again and again, right? All of that. Yeah. So I'll proceed. This I have talked about. I hope cohort analysis was clear to everyone, right? If you have any doubts, you can probably ask me.
So
Okay.
how to collect data of the users? I mean, God, is that using, I mean, what kind of a software? Or
No, so I think it is actually I'll talk about that. It's actually simple. So what you can do is, if you have a transaction level data, you have a transaction level data. Let's say so if I talk about cohort analysis, let's say you want to create a cohort, let's say for last 4 months. Now what you will do, you will actually extract the data for last 4 months, transactions, and obviously you will have users also there. So what you will do, after you have got the transaction level data, you will convert that data into user level data. Now what that user level data tell you, for example, if I'm talking about, let's say, January, February, March and April, right? I have taken data for these 4 months, right? For every user you will have four metrics. There are 4 columns. That was the user active in the month of January, was a user active in the month of February, was a user active in the month of March, or was a user active in the month of April. Now, when you have all these 4 metrics across all the users who have transacted in the last 4 months, you can create this cohort analysis, right? Now, for users who were active in the month of January, right? All the users who were active in the month of January, right? So they will basically come in the first column and the first row, right? So for example, 37 can be people who were active in the month of January, right? Now, for all those users, you will check how many of them were active in the month of February. That will actually give you this number, 95%. So 95% of the users who were active in the month of January were also active in the month of February, right? So the base is going to be January transacting user for the first row, And from that base, you will see how many were transacting in February, how many were transacting in the month of March, and how many were transacting in the month of April. For second row, right, the base is going to be, users who were active in the month of February. And from that base, you will see, in the first month, let's say in the month of March, how many people came back. And let's say if I talk about April, which is, month 3, how many people came back in the month of April. So that is how the cohort analysis, is being created. Does it make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And there's a little question. Okay. Okay. You showed me an example of transaction app. Okay. What
Right.
if it is a education platform or kind of a website? How do you find a cohort analysis from your customers?
Very good question. So basically, I talked about that, right? So if I talk about cohort analysis, there are basically one important parameter for doing the cohort analysis is the cycle. So the cycle is, you can make it a weekly cycle, you can make it a monthly cycle, you can make it a quarterly cycle. So based on the use case, for example, payments, right? Payments is something that we do on a day-to-day basis, right? So for something like payments, right, we can probably create a daily cycle cohort analysis where instead of quarters, we will have day-wise cohorts, right? Now, if I talk about education platform, right? If I talk about education platform, if you're looking from that perspective, like how many users have actually bought my product, bought my, online classes, and let's say it actually is a period for 3 months, or let's say period for 4 months, then 4 months is something that you should take as a period of doing your cohort analysis. So instead of monthly or weekly, your period will be 4 months. So you
So
will be
small.
looking.
Yes, sir. I'm saying like let's say a website like what a free education platform. Because those free education platforms make revenue to ad side. So in sense, yeah, to gain customers, you have to make in the standards. So in that case, how do you create a cohort analysis?
Right. So if you're talking about free education websites, right? So
Yes, sir.
depending on use case, like so people who, so if I talk about students, right? Student will be taking classes on a daily basis, right? So in that case, you can create a cohort on a day, on a day cycle, right? Or let's say for someone who is not a student, let's say who's a professional and who is not free on weekdays will be returning on weekends. So then you can probably create weekly cycles. You can see, every week on week if the user is returning or not returning. So that can actually help you give insights. Oh, is your product really engaging? Are you actually doing the right product offering, or whatever courses that you are selling on your platform, are they attributed to the professionals, or are they just attributed to the students? So all of that, all those questions will keep coming in your mind once you actually create cohort analysis.
Will cohort analysis apply same to MVPs also?
Can you please repeat it?
For MVPs, minimal viable product, will this cohort analysis?
Yeah. Why not? So for example, for a startup, I'm let's say you are doing some startup today, right? You have created some app and you are launching it today. So you will be looking at cohort analysis. And when I say cohort analysis can be looked for signups, can be looked for installs separately, can be looked for transacting users separately, and within transacting users, you can actually look at cohort analysis for your new users, right? So this particular thing, right, can have multiple versions of cohort. You can segment cohort analysis into your new users, repeat users, churn users, signups, installs, all of that. So for someone who has just started up, you're doing some, you have created some app or you have created some product and you want to check how it is doing, you can do your cohort analysis on day one. And probably in the beginning you would be looking for installs, right? And you will be seeing like, okay, if your installs are happening in the right manner that you had projected for, or it is lower, or it is higher, all of that. And basis that, you can take a decision, and you can drive campaigns on social media, or let's say other things that we talked about for new user acquisition, right, to drive your installs. And once you see that a lot of people have installed your apps, how do you drive signups, right? So that is again one thing. And once you see like people are signing up but they are not transacting, Though that is another cohort that you have to look into. That is then you look into transacting user cohort. So yeah, so all use cases can be, can actually take help of cohort analysis technique.
I just need a view from your personal perspective, sir. There are so many startups coming up with their ideas, and so many of them fail. So, what is the reason? I mean, from your personal perspective.
So first of all, I'll talk about, first and foremost is, important thing is what you are offering, right? So what exactly you're offering. So for example, if I talk about bread, right? I need bread, right? I need food, right? To eat. I need it every day. So that is something, that is a very big value proposition. So if let's say Swiggy is actually doing online food, right? So there is a need in the market. So first of all, you have to do a proper market research in the market. Whatever you are going to come up with, right, or starting with, you have to do a proper market research. You have to do surveys. You have to talk to users. You have to talk to your family members or friends. Any sort of market research as much as you can do to ultimately identify the need for your product. Is it really required in the market? Right? That is the first and foremost point. The second point is, even when you have identified that, okay, there is a need in the market, you also have to do competitor analysis. How many competitors are out there in the market? Whatever I'm coming up with, are there already companies in the market who are doing really good and have actually captured the market, right? So that is the second thing that you have to come down to. And the third thing, of course, is your product, right? Let's say you want to become a next Swiggy, let's say in the future, and you see the market that is captured by Swiggy and Zomato is not much. That's, let's say, 20% captured, right, in India. So you see there's a 80% more opportunity in the market, right? And you can probably start with another third online food ordering app. But having said that, you have to look into how better your product is, right? How smooth your user journey is, like, right? If your product is not good, if the user are finding a lot of problems while while doing orders, and let's say not all of the restaurants are actually registered with you. So that is something that you need to look into as a third pointer. The first point is you actually look for if there is really a need in the market for the product offering that you're giving. Second is you have to look into how many competitors are out there in the market, how they are doing, what is the market size, how much market is captured, and how many top players are there in the market, what they are doing, all of that. And the third thing is your product, right? What is your product? How is your product? How is your app? How is your website? Is it really good for users? It is really intuitive. You can do user research around that also, by calling users or by floating surveys to the users. Do they really like your product, or are they finding any problems while doing while placing orders, all of that, right? Hope that
Yes,
makes
sir.
sense. Yeah.
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 And I just have a small question. And there are two products. There's Byju's, who is selling education, which is basically.
Subhash, 1 minute, Subhash. Sir, Amit sir, are you done with your presentation? Sir, Amit
No,
sir.
actually, there's a few things which are left. I just wanted to
Yeah.
let me
So
cover
Subhash,
that. Let me cover that.
can you? Yeah, first, Subhash, let
Yes, sir.
sir
Yes,
cover that first. Then at last you can ask your question,
Sure,
Subhash.
sir.
sure. Let me cover that
Yes.
first. Yeah. So I think I had covered this repeat user slide. I'll move on to the churn user. Now, a churn user, the definition of churn user is users who were transacting with you earlier, but have stopped transacting on your platform because of some reason. Maybe they got wooed by some other competitor. They were offering better rates or better incentives, or something wrong happened with that user on your platform, and he or she did not get what exactly the user wanted. So I'm talking about these 1 month churn, 2 month churn, and 3 month churn, 3 month plus churn. So these are the churn users, and there's a different activity. The term coined reactivation. We have to reactivate these users, right? And so, for example, a lot of firms, you can see the retention rates are very low. It would be 20%, 30%, or let's say. So in that case, reactivation becomes a key to those firms when it comes to growth marketing. You basically float surveys to users to understand what went wrong, why did they stop transacting on us. Is it really that they don't have any need, they don't have any need of that product anymore, or someone else is giving a better product in the market. All of that is something that you can probably capture from the survey and ultimately work upon that. And once you get cues from your survey, you can retarget those users with the right campaign, right product, and the incentive. Also, once you have sought feedback from the users that probably they did not get the refunds for the transactions which failed, or so ultimately you have to look into your product and work on those product improvements by driving product managers, and by driving your customer service, to ultimately give a best user experience to your users, so that this doesn't repeat in the future. Also, you have to look at the competition, right? Let's say a lot of users, once from the survey, you got to know that a good chunk of users have actually migrated to your competition. You need to look at the competition and what better they are doing, and ultimately understand from them, learn from them, and probably imbibe the best practices in your platform, right? Or maybe they are selling something else that you are not selling, right? And that particular thing that they are selling probably is a good use case that you should also start working on and can drive retention back into your app, right? Now I will talk about the nitty-gritties of marketing campaigns. Like how do you how do you calculate the performance of your campaign, and how do you analyze your campaign, that if the campaign that you're running is working fine or not? So for example, I want to let's say drive a campaign for my new users. Let's say it's a new user campaign that I want to drive, and let's say not new user, I would say let's say a reactivation campaign. I was talking about reactivation. Let's say I want to run a campaign on my churn users, and what I will do, let's say I've identified the customer segment to be, let's say there are 100 customers in that segment. I want to run campaign on them, and these 100 customers have stopped transacting on me, right? So what I will do, I will do a target control analysis. Of these 100 customers, I will place 90 customers into my target group, and 10 customers I will place into the control group. Now, what is target group and what is control group? So target group is the group where I will be running campaign. So these are the users on whom I will be running my campaign. These are users who I will be promoting my campaign to. The control group is going to be the user set who I have excluded from my campaign. I will not be running campaign on them. I will not be promoting any doing promotions about those about that particular campaign to these people, right? So what I will do is I will first check the percentage conversion from the target. So of from the target group, which comprises 90 people, how many people have actually got converted after looking at my campaign, after using my campaign, be it any incentive campaign or for that matter. So let's say for numbers I will talk about, let's say 45 people out of 90 people use that campaign and started transacting on my platform. So what is the conversion? The conversion is 50%, right? The target group was 90 people, right? Of 100 people who were in the customer segment, I chose 90 people out of that customer segment as a target group. And from those 90 people, 45 people actually used my campaign and did a transaction. So the conversion is 45 upon 90, which is 50%, right? The numerator is, if I talk about the percentage conversion from target, it is 50%, right? Similarly, if I talk about control group, right? The group, the users, those 10 users to whom I am not running any campaign or to whom I am not promoting any campaign, and because these users are a part of that customer segment which I had chosen earlier, I will check the conversion in this particular control group. Let's say two people out of 10 people ultimately converted. So what is the conversion? The conversion is 20%, right? So if 2 people out of 10 people came back to my platform without promoting my campaign, without running any campaign, so that means 20% people came to my platform without running any campaign. Now, if I want to check the performance of my campaign, what I will do is I will check percentage conversion from target and percentage conversion from control. The percentage conversion from target was 50% that we have calculated. 45 out of 90 people came in. The percentage conversion from control is 2 out of 10, right? Which is 20%. So when 50% divided by 20%, this says 2.5, right? So when I see this ratio is, if it is more than, let's say 1.5 or even more than 1, I can say my campaign was successful, right? Because what control says, if I was not running a campaign, 20% users were anyway going to get converted. But because I ran a campaign, the conversion came out to be 50%, which was, above 30%, above 20%. So I would say my campaign was performing really better. I hope I made sense here. Right?
Yes, sir. Understood.
Yeah. So the next point I want to talk about for campaigns is the promotions, right? The promotions actually plays a key role in deciding the success of your campaigns. And how can you promote your campaigns, right? You can do SMS notification, you can do push notifications, you can do banner promotions. So on the apps you would see, right? Let's say Swiggy, Zomato, or even Paytm, you will see banner promotions happening. You will see push promotions, receiving push notifications, prompting you to do a transaction. Some campaigns running 50% cashback only for you, something like that, right? And like SMS also, right? SMS basically drives installation. So for someone who was an active user earlier and who has uninstalled the app, if we are actually sending that user an SMS with a deep link, that basically redirects the user to the Play Store and drive installation. So that is also one of the good campaign to actually drive installations. Now, once you are running these promotions, how do you analyze the performance of these promotions? You first of all check the impressions, right? Now, if I talk about impressions, I would say impressions is how many people. So let's say you're targeting some customer segment, right? Okay, this is one segment, 1 lakh user segment, which I want to target in this campaign. So when I talk about promotion, you would want to show banner promotions, or you would want to show a banner to those 1 lakh users, right? Who you have taken into the customer segment. Now how your promotion success will be decided is how many people actually saw your banner, right? Of those 1 lakh users, were only 50 users who saw that banner? Were it is 50,000 users who saw that banner? So that is one key metric that decides, okay, your promotions are going right, or are you reaching out to your users or not? All of that, right? Then the next thing comes is the clicks, right? Once the user has been pushed with the push notification and has been pushed with the banner promotion, you need to check how many people are actually clicking on those banners, or how many people are actually clicking on those push notifications. That is the second step, right? And the third step is, after the user has clicked on those push notification or the banner notification, how many people ultimately went ahead in completing the transaction. That is the third step, right? So these three things, are very important drivers or metrics to ultimately analyze the performance of the promotions that you're doing for any campaign, for that matter. So that's what CTR is click-through rate, right? So CTR, you can say clicks upon impression is the CTR, right? So you sent push notification to 100 users, but out of 100, only 50%, 50 people clicked on it. So the CTR is going to be 50%, right? And you would want to drive it even more and more, over 50%. The conversion would be of let's say 100 people who clicked on your push notification or banner notification, how many people went ahead in doing a transaction, right? So let's say out of 100 people who clicked on the banner, only 20 people transacted. So the conversion rate is going to be 20%, right? So you can play around with your campaign narrative, right? The incentives, and ultimately, doing the promotions, right? And look at these metrics, right? CTR, conversions, and again, this, the campaign performance metric, which I talked about. So these three things, are the key metrics to ultimately drive if you're doing things right or not. So that's from my side. I have covered, I think the growth marketing part here. I have also touched aspects of the product management also in this session. Yeah, I think probably we can open for the Q&A. And if you have any questions, yeah, please go ahead.
So may I?
Yes, Amit sir, there is a question from Ramesh from Mechanical. What is meant by designation? Sorry, that is about feedback. It's fine.
It's about
Yeah.
feedback.
Okay.
Subhash,
Yes.
if you have any doubt, you can
So, yes,
ask.
sir. I have. So let's say you have Byju's who is selling education. Education is a flourishing market is an evergreen market. Okay, let's keep it aside. And one side, a guy is selling lamps, and let's keep it that also aside.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You said something. Once the guy is selling, I could not hear
A
it.
lamp, sir, a lamp. Okay,
Okay.
a normal lamp.
Okay.
And most of the startups that they are coming up with, they don't have proper research. I got it. But the product is like lamp. So people still need that lamp, but still they fail. Is that because of they have failed to the product is not fitting in the market, or they fail to find potential customers for their product?
Right.
Because education is somehow they can sell it because it is a evergreen market. But this lamp is not, it's not a basic need. It is what is a luxurious need. And what is the cause of their fail? Is that because they are unable to find the product is unfit for the market, or they fail to find potential customers?
So I think I talked about it. So basically, the first thing is again to understand the need. I get your point. I think it's a fair point. So let's say it's so when I talk about lamp, right? The lamp thing. The lamp is something. It's a niche product. Niche product, as in there will be users in the market who are actually looking for that product, but it will become very tough for me to identify those users and identify the right customer segment and ultimately reach out to them. So that is again, so customer acquisition comes with a cost. It's like when I'm starting up something, right? I will have limited budgets with me, right? And if my product is something that is actually attributed to a very small set of users, and I don't know where those small set of users are, so I will be spending a lot of money in ultimately reaching out to those users and ultimately drive my buyings or drive my selling, right? If I talk about I know like education market or online food or payments, this is like now a red ocean. A lot of firms are doing it in the market right now. And if I talk about the potential, right? The potential is basically calculated. So let's say if you want to enter into payments or if you want to enter into uh, online food ordering, I think the first thing that we need to do is the market study. Like how much of the market is actually captured? Is it 20%, 10%, or is it 90%? If it is 90%, I will suggest we should not enter into that segment or into that particular business. If it is 10, 20%, we can still move ahead in that particular business. Similarly, yeah. So and then ultimately, once I have identified that okay, there's a right market for it and there's a huge market potential for it, I can probably go ahead, and I know because there is a need of the need in the market for that product. So probably driving acquisitions or driving user acquisition, I think that won't be very tough for me. But for some product like lamp, or let's say where the need is not for everyone, but need is for certain set of users. I think the key here is not doing the market study. Like I know we have to look at the market size, we have to look at the market potential, of course. But the key factor here would be to identify where my right customer segment is, the right product market fit, right? Where the market is, I have to reach out to them. I have to do the right promotions and the right campaigns to acquire those users. I also have to look into whatever product that I'm selling, lamp, right? How different it is from the other lamps that are being sold into the market, right? That is also one key factor. Is my lamp something which is a very differentiated product where let's say there's a calculator installed in that particular lamp where I can use calculator also. So that is something which is a differentiability in my product which can drive user buying, right? But if it is a simple lamp, I think there are a lot many other people also who would be selling it out. Also, we'll have to look into the channels, right? We'll also look at, when I talk about channels can be what all places that particular lamp is being sold out to. It could be, let's say, offline channel, it could be online channel like Amazon, like e-commerce firms, or and even so online apps also, just selling lamps. And also, like, what is the scenario in the offline channel, like how many supermarts, or let's say shopkeepers are actually selling lamps, right? That is also one key thing that needs to be taken into account when I'm starting